Sagittarius, it's been a long time. Really happy to see you here. It's been a while. Now, listen, I'm going to be looking for your astrological forecast for October. There's been a lot of things going down in 2020, and I have had so many requests from so many of you whether I can come back and give readings for you, and so I will. The change up, though, is that I'm using a new software. I'm not going to edit and render it, which takes a lot of time for 12 videos. So you're going to get the raw file. So if we have any bloopers or anything coming up here, so be it. Just laugh along or be patient, right? But listen, I am excited to catch up with you. 2020 has been such a weird year with COVID, but not to mention the astrological aspects, the Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, which has really done it in for all of us in so many different ways. Now, at the end of this video, you'll see there will be a second video coming up, and I will urge you to listen to it because I go more into depth what this is doing for you and where it is in your chart that you'll be purging, just a lot of extra information. I know you've got a lot of that from the other amazing astrologers out here, but that will be my 2 cents worth, right? But let's jump into it. So what I'm going to be doing differently too, as opposed to in the past, I'm going to be bringing up your chart so you can follow along and see what is going on with you. So let's see if we can bring that up right here. And let's see, this one right there. And let's close that one down, that one down, that one down. And I am going to bring up my video here a little bit larger so you can still see me as we talk. There we go, Sagittarius. Okay, so you're going to be able to see the mouse when I move around here. I'm just going to put up this. You can see when I move around the chart so you'll know exactly what it is I'm talking about. And I'll put little arrows where I am going to be mentioning the specific planets and so forth. Now, October is going to be interesting in many ways because we have 2 full moons. That doesn't happen a lot, right? And we know that the full moons always bring harvest of this and that. The things that we've put into motion, under our new moons, the time that we place our intentions and so forth. And which, talking about the new moon and intentions, we've always said that, is that we want to focus on those things we want to bring into our life, the things that we want to manifest, right? But a major key that I want to bring to your attention this month is the area of the new moon every month will be different. Every month it changes a house. Look over here at the chart. Depending on where it is within these 12 signs, that is where the new moon is working at its maximum. So if we just have a plethora of good intentions that we're putting out there, not all of it is going to manifest if we think about the law of attraction, right? What it will attract for you and manifest for you is the area that you're putting your intentions where the new moon is at, which for you here is the 11th house here in October. And this is October 16th. You'll see down below here, October 16th. And it is 23 degrees in Libra. Libra is all about harmony. It's about balance. It's about just you incorporating this into the area of hopes, dreams, your social circles, your friends, and so forth. So this should be a part of your intention on October 16th, is to say, I want more time either with my friends. I want more time to focus on my social circles, maybe out on the internet, because this is definitely the Aquarian house, which rules the internet. Maybe a lot of you have thoughts, ideas, wanting to make podcasts or whatnot. So this is a great time for you to put that as one of your major intentions. You can add others too, but this is where you're really going to be honing it in, bringing it home, especially because this month too is where the sun is, right? The sun is moving through the sign of Libra, It's 60 degrees away from your own sign. So this is a harmonious month. October works really well for you, Sagittarius, right? So you are, because of the sun being in this area, you will have more time with friends in spite of COVID and the lockdowns, social distancing, and so forth. I think you're going to find that you're going to be making a little bit more room out of the fear based situation that we've been living in for so many months. It's like, oh, can't do that. We can't go there. You're going to do something. You're going to be spending more time with your friends. That's very healing, right? But then while we're talking about the moons, October 1st, down here, I'll put an arrow. October 1st, 9 degrees in Aries, which is a sister sign of yours. It's right over here, 9 degrees, fifth house. The fifth house is all about children, but it's also about your creativity, your self expression, where you want to bring out those things that are really, really good for you. So it could be a very creative month. I feel it's going to be fiery. Like I said, it is in a trine over here to Sag. You rule that first house. That is you, the I am. And now bringing out Mars, which is there, has been there for a while and will continue to be there because Mars is retrograde. So there's a lot of fire. There's a lot of passion. Now, the fifth house is also relationships. So those of you who are single, some of you might find that you might attract a new partner in a very creative way. That could be online dating because we have the 11th house of social networks. Plus, we've got the romance going on here in the opposite side of your chart, here between the 11th and 5th. Some of you might just find that you can find somebody new online. So go for it. At least, check it out. For those of you who are in an existing relationship, well, it's a romantic month because of the sun up here in Libra, right? And Mars being in the fifth house, it's the house of Leo. It's warm, it's all heart. The full moon is amplifying this, right? So you will feel that your heart chakra might just be, flowing over. Love, love, love that. We're going to talk more about Mars in this area because Mars might be a little difficult this month, okay? But more on that when we get back to it. But the second full moon, October 31st, this is going to be 8 degrees in Taurus. Right here, you see it in your sixth house. And this full moon, as we know, it brings harvest, right? It brings those things into fulfillment. It's given to you. And there's a surprise attached to it because it's here conjunct Uranus. And Uranus is always like a box of chocolate. Never know what you get. It can be really good, a good surprise, and it can be an OMG, oh my God, now what type of surprise? Don't know before you get there. But Uranus is retrograde also. So it could be things pertaining to maybe the past. If issues weren't settled in the past, that can come up now because the moon is full and coming into it. And it's like, whoopsie, here we go. But it could absolutely also be fun and happy surprises by all means, right? Sixth house is also one's day-to-day routine. You might come up with something really smart that has to do with how can you work not just now, day to day, but how can I set up a routine that will behoove me while I move forward in the oncoming months and so forth. Because the sixth house is the house of Virgo that likes to be organized. You might find yourself thinking, I need to do things a little bit differently so that my day-to-day can flow better, so you might find yourself doing that. So Mercury's retrograding from October 14th through November 4th. Right down here, I'll put an arrow. And we know that with Mercury retrograde, we're always a little careful of signing contracts or starting anything new because communication, as you very well know by now, and if you're new to my channel and you haven't heard about Mercury retrograde, you will learn when you follow along with us. Mercury rules communication. So, yes, we can have miscommunication, misunderstandings, and so forth. We're not really hearing or listening to what is being said. And of course, then that can create issues. But since it's retrograde over here, 12th house, let's say I put an arrow there. 12th house is what's happening behind the veil, for one. It's also our subconsciousness, and it's a spiritual placement. But since it rules contracts and documents and so forth, we really don't like to sign anything because, oopsie, if we have to, we might just need to redo it down the road, weeks or even months from now. So if you can avoid signing anything, good for you. Just say, I just want a little time to think about it. I'll get back to you. It's okay to say that, because not everybody understands. If you say Mercury's retrograde, so I'm not going to do it, they may not get it. But then there's times where we can't really say, I'm going to have to wait 3.5 weeks before I sign this contract. Sometimes it's not possible and the show must go on. So be it. As long as you are aware, read the fine print, so it doesn't come back and bite you in the butt. Um, that's all I want to say about it. Now, there could be visions. It's a 12th house of Pisces. Pisces is very visual, very metaphysical, very spiritual. And there might be things that you've been wanting to do, like getting back into yoga, meditation, those kind of things, spiritual rituals that you haven't had time to. Mercury might give you some extra time to go back, revamp, refix, tweak, whatnot. Bring that up because there's been a longing. Pisces really wants to have that non-verbal communication. You might find yourself being extra, should I say, telepathic at this point, where you can be feeling, picking up on your partner and vice versa. So we have that. Plus, whatever communication is going down now, since Mercury is in Scorpio, well, that's always very in-depth communications. There's nothing superficial about Scorpio at all. All right, so you might find that it's important to have those deeper talks, to cut to the core and get to the base of anything. Don't let that frighten you. A lot of people are frightened to go that deep down in and dig, to purge and cleanse. But it's so important that we do that so that the path that leads us forward is clear behind us. So we don't drag old karma along and into the future, because then we're just going to have to deal with it at a future date, right? So we don't want that. Then we have Venus. Venus right up here in ninth house, cruising right along in Leo, which it has been in September. So Leo is fun. Leo is outgoing and warm and flashy in certain senses, very proud, right? And has the ability to become center focus. And so you might have felt that you've had more of a need to be center focus with the attention of what? Ninth house issues. And ninth house issues is all about higher understanding, higher education. You might have been looking into what it is you want to do, research, dive into. And of course, it's also the area of long distance travel. We know with COVID, there's been restrictions. So I don't know. You've probably tried to do the best of it, right? There is a good aspect. Let me draw a line here from Venus to Mars. From the area of having fun in the fifth house up to the ninth house. So I can see that some of you actually have been able to, here at the end of September, to get out and about. Even if you haven't been flying long distance, maybe you took a road trip, something that can, bring that joy and the activity of that, the standstill that we have been having with Saturn that has been holding us back, right, in lockdown. I think you found your own way, Sag, to feel happy and active and so forth. I'm loving that. That is really good. But make the most out of it, Sagittarius. Now, within the first few days of October, because Venus will be then moving into your 10th house over here. And 10th house has everything to do with your career. And Venus rules money, it rules your goals, your ambitions, how you're wanting to move ahead. So for the last 3 weeks of October, that's where your main focus will be of how to move ahead, maybe even how to make more money. Some of you might, have a review, get a raise, or um, talks about maybe a raise, since Venus rules not just love and romance, but it does rule money. And since it's in your career house and will be trining here down to, um, let me draw a line, and I want to have a blue line because that's harmonious. It will be down to your money house there. So that will allow you in the last 3 weeks of October to look at how can I get more money. Do if they're not coming to you, offering it to, maybe you will be the one to open up for that kind of talk with your supervisor or your boss or whatnot. But the power is for you in the second house of money. Let's jump down there now. Since we're talking about the second house, that's all about worth and value. And value and worth is not always just about money. It's also about our self-worth. How are we feeling? What are we worthy of, right? And so, of course, here in 2020, these three planets have been working together, and the final outcome of it is restructuring this house. But this is also where you've seen that things have been difficult with COVID and restrictions, the lockdown. Saturn holds us back. Think about the rings of Saturn, right? So it's been holding us back. A lot of people have been furloughed, lost their jobs, and so forth. So it's been difficult, actually very complicated for a lot of people. Um, and for others, well, depending on your personal chart, it will show whether this can expand and grow and perfect itself. But ultimately, it's all about perfecting how you're going to be making money, generating money in times to come. Jupiter was retrograde for many months here throughout summer. That created a lot of things that could have been a little slow, but then thank God it also gave stimulus checks to a lot of people, which helped. Jupiter is like a gift. It will give. It's generous, right? So that was unexpected money coming from the government. I think that helped a lot of you. Um, Jupiter now, which is moving forward again, it's already passed Pluto once, then it retrograded. Now it's moving forward. It's going to pass over the point of Pluto right here, 22 degrees, in not too long. And then we're feeling that the power of that transformation is going to be done for the next 12 years. Okay, so this is a super important time now and November for you to see how you can structure your financial income sector for the next decade plus. You want to stay positive, optimistic, let go of the things that no longer behoove you. That's what Pluto has been doing, is stripping down the old structures, and it can hurt like all get out when we let go of certain structures, patterns that we've been accustomed to. Even if they weren't perfect, we were accustomed to them, and that gives a little bit of security, right? It's better with the devil that you know than the devil you don't know. And so we might cling. Saturn will also cling. Saturn right here, 25 degrees, and will hold on to old structures. And Pluto's coming and saying, no, it's going to go. It's going to go. A lot of companies have been going down because of the Saturn Pluto. So what can I say? It's going to get better. In fact, it's going to get really good, because when the old school, the old foundations crumble, that's the scary part. That's why you want to listen to the end, the video coming in after this one at the end about COVID. Um, and we're not just talking the virus, we're talking astrologically. The virus attached itself to it. It went international. because Jupiter was there trying to really make this huge, super big, right? Um, so that's only a part of it, but everything else financially we can see within governments and nations and whatnot, cities, and we've all had it. But for you, you've been very much so touched by the second house. But this is where Pluto is rebuilding itself with the help of Saturn. Saturn is what we master, right? So you're learning how to master and how to dare let go, which is the Plutonian force, to trust what you master. Jupiter coming in wanting to lift it up to higher dimensions so that can expand. Jupiter is not going to be back here for another 12 years. This is your ruler. So make the most out of it, Sagittarius, here in October. And into November, it's going to be good. Thank God you're still going to have Jupiter with you in this area for a while. Um, so we're loving that. So it's not too bad. However, if we talk about what can be a little bad, here we go. Be ready for this. And I am going to point out Mars right here. Now, we did talk about Mars and how Mars is going to be big and feisty here around the time of the full moon on October 1st, right? Because it is both in the fifth house for um, creativity, self-expression, but also your children. There could be things going on with your children or you interacting with them. But Mars, be careful and delicate. Kind of try to lay a little low, I would say, here, because why? We're going to have, I'm going to make this line here red. Hang on a second, because it's not a harmonious aspect. This is a square. So we're going to have a square from Mars to, oh, come on, get away, eraser. Here. Why is it not doing that? I want this. It's not doing it. Anyway, okay, so let's go away from that. I'm going to try again. Are we going to get a red line? No? All right. That is so weird. I'm going to try one more time. This is where I'm saying, just bear with me. Here we go. We're going to have a red line from Mars to Saturn. We're going to have a red line from Mars to Pluto. We're going to have a red line over here. It's a little bit of a wide aspect, but I'm going to take that blue line away. All of these are squares, okay? And that's where there's tension and a lot of challenges. Now, Mars, you know very well, is feisty. It is our onboard drive, right? It's the action, the dynamics that we have. We're goal getters and whatnot. It pushes us. It's the warrior planet. Now it's going to spike up because of that full moon is going to juice it a little bit, but then it is in the square to Saturn and Pluto. And if Mars is dynamite, you know, Pluto is nuclear. Put the two of them together, what do we have? We got fusion, right? There could be big blow-ups. That could be personal. That could be you. That your temper is really short. It could be people around you that are very short-tempered, so be careful. Out in traffic, I would say, since Pluto rules crowds, please don't go anywhere to demonstrate. That's all I can say. Why? Because there will be some people that will just go off their hinges. And if something crazy happens in these huge crowds, we've seen them all over in Europe and Berlin, you know, there's thousands and thousands of people getting together. Be careful, because if something goes off, can you imagine panic and people running through the crowds? There could be a stampede and oops, you know, very difficult, very difficult. And it could be, you know, guns, bombs. I'm not a doomsdayer at all. I want to see things in a positive light. And that's why I'm saying stay home, lay low. If you need to rebel or be in opposition, and there's a lot of opposition going on, especially now as we're getting close to elections and everything, it's okay to have your opinions. But, you know, be careful for those who want to force it down your throat. You can get really annoyed with them, or They can get annoyed with you if you're the one trying to convince and force your opinions onto other people. We call that projections, by the way. If you find yourself projecting yourself onto other people, you'll meet resistance. Some people won't take it, right? Or vice versa. And this is where the friction is coming in. Be careful. And Jupiter is involved. It's a little bit of a wider aspect, but definitely to be counted on. And Jupiter is an international type of aspect. Um, and I also feel that, that could just enlarge the groups. Pluto already rules mega masses, and Jupiter is in there too. So pay attention to what is going on in October. On a personal level, sure, we can still purge the things we need to purge. We can still hold that sense of justice over here, which Jupiter rules. We're talking about our worth, what we value, right? We value our opinions. And so we can still, value those opinions and do it very peacefully and quietly. Internally, it's like what we light workers do. We work around the clock, sending out good vibes, love, and white light to areas that are needed. And once that is done, I mean, hey, we don't have to physically be present to state what we believe in, right? So there was a little bit of that. A little careful here with our Mars this month. We've already talked about Jupiter. Jupiter wants to expand. Jupiter has been very frustrated because of Saturn's placement. They were kind of running together here for a while this summer. And Saturn said, no, you're not going to be able to expand. You're not going to be able to fly anywhere. You're going to be stuck here. And of course, introverts do better under lockdown. A lot of you have. For you, Sagittarius, you're mainly somebody who's very extroverted for the most part, very jovial and want to be out and about and travel. For you, extroverts, it's been really difficult, with the lockdown. But Jupiter now is going to pass over both Pluto and Saturn and get on with it, and then we're going to start seeing that things are going to be lifting and being easier to deal with. So Uranus, sixth house, health and your day-to-day routine. Uranus is retrograde, so there might be ideas coming up from the past that you've had. Look at them. Maybe this is a time to start implementing those things into your daily regime that can make things easier for you. There might be new gadgets and so forth coming in, helping you to streamline, organize the things that are needed to be done. Just don't go buy any new devices while Mercury's retrograde. We don't want to do that before after at least November 14th, because then we give it 10 days. It goes direct November 4th, 10 days of the shadow to get through. Then you should be in a good place. Last thing I want to talk about is Neptune here. It's been cruising in your fourth house for a long time. So there's not too much more to say about that than you have already been hearing about. And it has to do with your foundation, your roots, your family. Neptune is that dreamy aspect, the ideal aspect of how you would like to, maybe in a more artsy way, create your home. Um, it's dream time. Some of you, Sagittarius, you're just dreaming about maybe a different place to live, right? Um, and of course, since it's Neptune, it loves the water, so you might feel drawn to the oceans, the lakes, and so forth. So that is working in the background, but it's not too forward at this point. There's so many other aspects that you're going to be feeling taking um, precedence here now in October. So listen, it has been really good to connect with you again, Sagittarius. Let your friends and family know that I'm back. I'll see you again next month, right? So that we can start getting our numbers of viewers and followers back up, because I've been laying low for the last year and a half. Maybe it's been 2 years, but I'm happy to be back. So have a good one. See you in November. But listen to your moon and rising sign. I forgot to say that, because this is a big month in October. You want to listen to your moon reading and your rising, your ascendant rising sign reading, because that's going to give you a lot of pertinent information of what's coming up this month. See you later. Have a good one. Bye now.